another video from Fast Tech. In this one, we're gonna be making my Xbox Series X go from looking like this to looking like this. All the tools that you need for this job, including the Fast Tech Pro Auto Kit, which is an automatic screwdriver, along with a bit set that you can use to disassemble any electronic device, including your Xbox, your PlayStation, your MacBook, your iPhone, you name it. Links in the description box, and you can use the coupon code YouTube for a discount. Let's get started. So here's one of my Xbox Series X systems that we're going to be working on today. I'm going to flip it over, look at the back. We're going to use the pry tool from our Fast Tech Pro Toolkit. I know I'm missing a few bits. As you guys may or may not know, that happens all the time. We're going to take our pry tool out of our Fast Tech Pro Toolkit. Links are going to be in the description box for this, guys. To start disassembling the Xbox Series X, we're going to remove this sticker here, and there's a screw hiding under this sticker that we're going to have to remove. As you can see, when I push it down, you can see that the sticker gets pushed down, and that's where the Torx security screw is hiding. We're going to remove this sticker with our Fast Tech pry tool. Pull up on the sticker, it's going to come right off like that. As you can see, there's a Torx T8 bit. And to remove that, I'm going to use my Fast Tech Pro Auto Kit, which is an automatic version of our Fast Tech Pro Toolkit. And as you can see, it has the T8 that we need to remove. We got that one. Now this one's here. This one right here, we're going to just push down. And then this screw is going to come out like that. At this point, the back's going to come off. I'm going to use our Fast Tech pry tool and then lift up the back like that. It connects to the side via clips, as you can see here. So now we're going to stick our Fast Tech pry tool in this locking mechanism here. I'm gonna pull the camera in. As you can see, that's the benefit of the first person view. I can really show you where it is. That is the piece right there. We're gonna stick our tool in there like that. As you can see, now it's lifted up, and now once we have that lifted, we can rotate anti-clockwise like that, and it's going to come off. And that's the base stand. Now we can stand it up on its head, and I'm going to remove this screw right here that's getting in the way using my Fast Tech Pro Auto Kit. Now we're going to remove this Torx screw here. At this point, we should be able to lift this piece out. It should come out like that. And now, because I'm trying to get my LED around the fan, we're going to remove the fan. I'm going to remove the connector for the fan by grabbing it from the sides of the connector, wiggle and pull like that. There's a few screws we're gonna have to remove. Also Torx T8 included in our Fast Tech Pro kit. Now we're gonna lift out the fan. As you can see, it's got a massive fan. Let's clean it out a little bit. I was told this Xbox didn't have much mileage when I bought it, but that's what everyone says. This is my secondary Xbox. So we're gonna get that clean. And so, before I continue, I had a viewer ask on a YouTube comment to see if this green was removable. So we're gonna find out if it is. Or if it is easy to remove. I don't know. From the first person perspective, it seems like there's nothing really holding it on. Let's see if we can try to pry it off. Yeah, I think it's held in by clips, because it does seem to come off, but not completely. I believe, I'm gonna say this, I think, viewer, if you're watching this, I think this is glued in. It seems to come off on the sides, or it could be clipped in. Let's see. Yeah, I think there's adhesive in there. Yeah, I can feel it as I push down my pry tool into it. It does create space. So the answer to your question is yes, you can remove this. Ideally, you'd want to have everything out when you remove this, but you can with enough patience. So that answers your, I hope that answers your question. I am not trying to do that right now because we're on a different kind of mission. When I'm going to pull out the connector from the disk drive, just in case anything goes wrong, we don't want to short out the disk drive. So we're going to pull the connector out, and now we're going to look at the pins here on the connector. So as you can see on the pin out here, pin number 12, which is this pin here, is 12 volts, and then pin number 11, which is right above it, is ground. So the gray cable up top, this one is ground, and that one is 12 volts. So because I don't want to splice my original cable, I'm going to use the cable from an Xbox 360 Slim. And the power cable hasn't changed at all over the years, so the cable is the same, and I don't want to cut into my original cable. And the pins are exactly the same as you can see here. Let me get it in the right orientation. There you go. So I'm going to cut this cable instead of cutting my original. So I'm going to remove the SATA cable, and we're going to get this disk drive out of there, because we're going to remove this power cable, pull that out, and I'm going to look at the orientation. As you can see, it goes in like this, boom, like that, just so I remember how to put it back in, because I don't want to, even though, I mean, they're exactly the same, but I don't know why, I just don't want to cut into my original cable. And just to show you guys, because I'm about to splice into the cable, and you know, if you should be careful doing this, but I'm fortunate enough to have a few spare cables laying around. But it's the same idea. As you can see, the positive and negative ground, the 12 volt positive and negative that we need, are color labeled and are on the sides here. So not much of a difference is going to be made which way I do this. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to splice the cables. I'm going to use a knife, and I'm just going to expose the wire. The best way is to use a cable jumper, but I do not have those laying around. So I'm going to be doing this a little bit unconventional, just by exposing the wire with my knife here. Cable jumper would make this a lot easier, I admit, but I didn't want to wait till those came in. We do sell cable jumpers as well. Not sure if they're not in stock at the moment, but we'll put them on in the future. So you want to expose just a little bit of cable here, and not the best way to do this, but it's gonna work. And as the US Army says, If it ain't dumb, it's not a bad idea, or something like that. So we're gonna expose some here, and what I'm gonna do is I don't want to expose, like, let's just say if this is the ground, I don't want to expose the 12 volt on the same, like in the same area, just in case they touch. I'm gonna expose the other one a little bit lower, so like they don't meet even accidentally. You know what I mean? Just gonna go ahead, run the trusty Smith & Wesson blade just to expose a little bit, and then I can do the rest with a fingernail. All right, so now I got this much. There you go. Now I'm gonna plug this cable back in. Pop, pop, pop. Rat-ta-ta-ta. Before you continue watching this video, please consider subscribing to our channel and liking this video if it's helping you out. All the parts that we're using in this video, the parts from the system itself, are listed at fasttechstore.com. So if you have a bad part that needs replacing, please consider us, and you can use the coupon code YouTube for a discount. Now you can continue watching the rest of this video. As you guys can see, it's a few days later, different time of day, and I'm not wearing a suit anymore. So now I'm gonna be wiring my LED into my Xbox, and this LED along with a wire that you need is available at fasttechstore.com. Links are going to be in the description box. I had to match the color, and there was a bunch of other considerations that had to be considered for doing this. And it was a lot more work than I anticipated, but that's how these things usually go. There's a lot more LED than I need here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut just about enough to make a ring on the fan like this, and I'm gonna cut the wire right there, solder some wire, run it to the 12 volt line, and then put the fan back into the Xbox. And I'm also gonna be trying to put some LEDs at the bottom. I'm not gonna be able to do a solid ring because the motherboard and the case is gonna get in the way, but I'm going to be figuring out a way how to get around that. Maybe I'll only put sections on LEDs on each side. We'll figure that out as we go along. And this LED is cuttable anywhere. I'm gonna cut it right about there. Now we're gonna have to expose the strip so I can actually solder onto it. I'm gonna slowly cut around. Da, 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 da. I got some cable exposed here. I just need about this much exposed. It's perfect. I can cut this off, and now I got enough cable, just the perfect length, with a little bit of a terminal exposed. Just fine, because the other side's rubber, it's not touching anything electric, and we need that much to get some good wiring on it anyways. And we would need that much to get a solder connection on there. This is the next step. So we're going to heat up the soldering iron. We sell these on our website, great soldering irons. This one personally I've been using heavy for 4 years and it still runs. Incredibly reliable American product, made in America in North Carolina. I really like this product, so check the link in the description box. So we're gonna get some solder, and we also sell solder in our tools section as well, by the way, guys. Solder is in stock now. And we're gonna get our wire out. That's our electric wire. Rated for 12 volts, which is what these LEDs run at. It's a little bit too thick. All right, so what I'm gonna do, because we are a little bit tight for space in there, I am gonna strip the cable from the sleeve, because the cables in there are perfect quality, great cables, but the cover might get in the way. So I am going to cut the cover off our cable here. Bow, bow, bow. Bow, bow, bow. Improvise. Adapt. Overcome. Da, 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 da. Boom. Okay. Now we talking. So I'm gonna cut it here. Now I got this that I'm working with, and I just need to expose a little bit, just enough that I can solder it to the LED. Da, 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 da. Da, da, da. I tell you what though, my employee sourced some good quality cables, but maybe they're too good quality. It's too much for what we need, but it's good, and it's better to have more than less. Let's bust out the Xbox. I'm gonna solder this to the Xbox first and figure out exactly how much cable I need. Da, 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 da. So we're gonna go from about from here to here, which is actually perfect. I cut the perfect amount of cable. I can even route it wherever I want. Run it here maybe. Perfect, man. I eyeballed it perfectly, man. I mean, maybe it could be a little bit shorter, but I'm gonna leave a little bit extra just in case. We're gonna get our cable out of the Xbox, and now I'm gonna solder my wires onto the cable. My piece of shit GoPro camera, and I have 3 of them, and they're all pieces of shit, so fuck GoPro. But anyways, it turned off during the soldering process without even warning. At least before, when it used to fail, you would warn you, but now it doesn't even do that. So anyways, this is what the soldering looks like in the end. I've jacked the 12 volt negative and positive lines. I got my cable ready. Now I'm gonna plug it into the Xbox and then make sure that the LED power's on. Why wouldn't a camera that advertises 4K 60 frames a second be able to do 4K 60 frames a second as advertised? Like my iPhone from fucking 3 years ago does that shit no problem without overheating, and on top of doing all of that extra stuff, it's also an iPhone. And as you guys may or may not know, my early videos used to be recorded with iPhones, and they have their own problems, you know, but the biggest problem is somebody calling you while you're recording a video session, right? But to avoid those problems, I got me a professional setup, or what I thought was a professional setup, because it says Go Fucking Pro in the name, but apparently it doesn't do what it says it's gonna do. It doesn't do 4K 60 frames a second, even though it's supposed to even do 5K. I don't even want to fucking try 5K on this camera, because just in case this thing fucking explodes in my face or something like that. So anyways, fuck GoPro. Let's continue with this job before I go on a further rant about these people who work at GoPro who think they can put out a product like this. Completely fucking unacceptable. All right, let's plug our Xbox in. You want to make sure that the negative and positive do not touch ever at this point. All right, there you go. Now we're going to, again, without ever letting the positive and the negative meet. We're just trying to see if this thing is gonna power on. Oh, there you go. Looks like it lights up. So that's our positive terminal, and that's the negative. So we're gonna turn this off right now. I'm just gonna reinforce this cable with some more electric tape, just so that things don't move around as much. Nice and tight around our wiring. There you go. That basically looks OEM. I'm gonna now run this through this slot on the fan. And now I'm gonna just quickly run another test. Okay. So let's just make sure. I believe the one up top is positive. Boom. So yeah, the one up top is positive because our LED is lighting. Da 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 da. Now we can turn this off. And now I'm gonna put some solder on my LEDs, and then I'm gonna put some solder on the wires. And I put this thing underneath so that the solder doesn't go on the board. Boom, big solder blobs on big solder blobs. Solder blob, solder blob. Are you gonna stick to the wire? Are you not? Here comes the spider blob. Okay. So now that we have that, I'm just gonna test it real quick. I'm gonna reinforce this with crafting glue, because crafting glue is non-conductive and it's gonna hold so that the cable connection doesn't rip up the LED or worse or something like that, because I don't want to resolder this shit again. Yes, boom. So we have LED power. Now I'm gonna unplug this. All right, now I'm gonna reinforce the wire with some crafting glue, because I do not want to be redoing this again. Put on there, cover it up. This might not look pretty, but it's gonna get the job done. Put some on the wire itself so it holds on with the glue and not with the solder. That way stress is not on the solder connection. Let's get it out of the system. Now I'm gonna glue the LED strip in on the fan. And my two objectives here are to have enough clearance that it doesn't touch the fan, because that's bad. Okay, it's very bad. You don't want that. And now it got me a full circle pretty much. Yeah, boom, perfect. Fits right there. Now it's gonna be a little crooked at the top, but no one's gonna see that. You're just gonna see a circle of light. Hopefully it's an unbroken circle, or what it appears. If it appears to be an unbroken circle, I'm a happy man. Of course, you can't always have everything your way, so it might not look like a perfect circle, but we have to see what it looks like once we're done, because no one's done this kind of an LED mod on a Series X yet. So guys, go ahead, smash that like button for me, please. These videos take a lot of work to make, especially if you're using GoPros. So please like the video. Now I'm gonna put some glue on the back of the LED, and I'm going to put it in place so it doesn't move. And as you can see, right now it's touching somewhere, and I think it's touching here. So we want to be very careful of that again, guys, otherwise this whole thing is going to be useless. So I'm just going to run some glue as close to the fan. I'm going to be as close with this LED to the fan as possible, but never touch it. So let's put some glue in here. Make sure my glue doesn't touch the fan ever. Some over here on this side. Push it in a little bit lower here as we can. So I've stuck the LED in with crafting glue, and it looks like, and I've reinforced it here, and now I'm going to install it in and see what it looks like when I turn the system on. Let's see if it fits on this side. It's very important. Yes, perfect. OEM, baby, OEM. So now I can just route the wire. I don't want to put any pressure still from that side. And connect the fan back in. I'm gonna run this here through, and then connect the power in. So now I got it plugged in. I just want to show you guys what it looks like real quick, and I really like the look. I don't think anyone's done it like this. And it's a clean ring. Unless you look really close, you can't even see the wiring, which is down here, and like there's a little bit of the glue that you can see, but only if you look really close, only if you know what you're looking for or you watch this video. Otherwise it looks really good, stock, OEM. This is what Microsoft should have done. I finished installing the LED at the top, and as I showed you earlier, it looks sick. And I also wanted to do the same thing at the bottom, so the Xbox also has the same glow coming from the bottom. So I cut 2 strips of LED that would have fit in there, or at least I thought would fit in there. But the problem is, due to the size of this LED, I can't fit the disk drive and the LED at the same time. All right, so I'm gonna have to get lower profile LEDs to do them at the bottom. And so for now, I'm only going to be doing the top in this video. I'll be getting lower profile LEDs to finish it and do the bottom part as well. But the main thing was the top, which I wanted to get, which I feel like was something that Microsoft really missed out on. I will be getting lower profile LEDs to put them in the bottom. I already have the wiring going for it now. But I'll save that for another video, and I need at least 1,000 likes on this video before I even consider doing that, guys. So please run up the likes on this video if you would like to see that. Now I'm going to reinstall the disk drive back in. I'll connect the power connector here. Make sure seated in, and now we're going to connect the SATA. I want to make sure the disk drive is lined as it should be, which it is. Now we're going to start reinstalling Now we're gonna start reinstalling the cover. My wires run through it nicely. It's like OEM. Now it looks like it's seated. Obviously there's gonna be a little bit more pressure on the cable, which is fine, but we anticipated that and worked accordingly. Yeah, now it lines up. Let's start reinstalling these screws. I'm gonna install this screw back in here. So it is. Okay, damn, boom. Now I'm gonna install the fan screw back on. Now that we got that on, before I start closing this Xbox up, I'm gonna get some of the dust that I see in the heatsink here. This is a good time to clean it out. It's a guide. I guess we could also make a quick guide on how to open your Xbox and clean it. Because that heatsink, it's the main heatsink, and you don't want any kind of blockages in that bad boy. Because if you get that, your system's gonna overheat. And more importantly, my LEDs are gonna die. Well, they're not gonna die, but they're gonna stop being powered on, which I don't want. Because I care about my work and my LEDs way more than I care about this Xbox. And that is the truth. Right, okay, so now we got the dust out of the way. Heatsink's nice and clean and unobstructed. I'm gonna click the stand on. Clicks in place, very nice. Very nice. Great success. And get the wires. Kind of, you can see them, but it's okay, I guess. No biggie. Biggie, can't you see? Sometimes these wires are getting in the way. I'm gonna put the back in. Click, click, click. Everything closes. That's exactly what I wanted to see. I'm gonna put the last two screws back in. I'm gonna put the sticker back on. Hides the screw at the bottom. Nothing we can do about this one. And now this Xbox is ready for my living room. I'm gonna power it on one more time to show you guys here what it looks like under light before I show you guys what it looks like at night in my setup. So because it is powered by the disk drive and not the fan, it doesn't kick on immediately when the fan starts, which is something I probably do next time when I do this mod. I'm gonna wire it to the fan. But as you can see, it's gonna do its thing, and then it takes a few seconds to light up, which I actually kind of like. But man, does that look good. And I promise you guys, it looks a lot better in person. I promise you. This is how it should have arrived from factory. Even the Xbox Series X mini fridge lights up. But they did put it in the official Series X. discovered, because I wired it to the disk drive, and maybe this is a good thing for some, maybe bad. When the disk drive's not in use, the power cuts off to the disk drive. That means the power is going to get cut to the LED as well. But all you got to do is bring it back to life, press the eject button, and it comes back to life. And it's almost like OEM, because we can use the button on the system to turn on the light if we need to. And the light runs whenever there's a disk in there. It's never going to turn off if the disk drive's active. But I kind of like that as well, because then you can turn it off and then you can surprise someone with it just by pressing the eject button. Thanks for watching another video from Fast Tech. Don't forget to smash the like button if you like this video, and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Press the bell next to the subscribe button if you want to get notifications. And check out my vlog channel in which I travel the world and I record my adventures. I promise you won't be disappointed. This is Shiroz from Fast Tech signing out, and I'll see you in the next one.